decision. Everybody came around at their own time, and we were all
Yes.
able to come together.
Yeah, and we weren't going to be pressured by that
Yeah.
because this is a huge deal. Everybody needed their own time.
Well, you shouldn't be, and you have to do what is in your gut to do. I mean, there's no doubt about it, because at the end of the day, a man's life is in your hands. And I'm curious to know what ultimately swayed you to decide that he had to die.
For me, I have a very spiritual background, and I thought that this would be the only opportunity for this man to ever make peace with his supreme being, or if he even has one, or just to accept responsibility. And I thought that any other way would be too easy for him. And if there was a chance of any kind of remorse or accepting this, it would only come with this particular sentencing.
For me, the testimony of Dr. Goldsmith saying that the trigger was that when he came back from the bank and Joshua Komajewski had told him that the two girls were dead and Dr. Pettit was dead, and that was what unleashed his rage. I didn't buy it because we had earlier testimony from Detective Buglione saying that he had seen Michaela. And the only way you could have seen Michaela was by walking up those stairs, passing Haley's room, and looking at Michaela. He said he had seen a change of clothes. So for me, it poked holes right through that theory of rage.
Yeah.
And that was the moment for me where I said, this man, he has to have the harshest punishment, which is on the laws of the state of Connecticut, which is death penalty.
You know, we didn't see the pictures that you all saw, but we did see the video, and you just mentioned it, the video of Jennifer Hawk Pettit at the bank. And I think, I'm not going to lie to you, it brought me to tears, because I knew that I was looking at this woman in the moments before she even knew what was coming at her. Did you ever find yourself breaking down?
Oh, several times. Several times. And I don't think any of us expected it when it did overcome us. She thought she was very brave and did what she thought she was doing to save her family. She had no idea what she was walking into. And no one could have known. And all three of those girls were, I think, extremely brave in their final moments. They didn't deserve this.
We all got emotional at different points and at different times, and certain things that resonated with each one of us. So it was a very emotional case and a very emotional 2 months, which brought the 12 of us together even closer because of this experience.
Do you feel like you have a connection, amongst all of you here? Because
Oh,
boy,
yeah.
I mean, as the nation looking in, I mean, we were outside looking in, but you were in the heart of this whole thing.
We were. I mean, the 11 other individuals that I did it with, of course, including Paula, were so professional, civil, prudent. I mean, we did everything to the letter of the law. There was never a shouting match. There was never insults. We did everything professionally in the way that the judge told us to do it. And I feel privileged to have been in the jury with all of these other jurors, because they were absolutely phenomenal, each and every single one of them. You would be lucky to have a jury of this caliber to try any type of case and to listen to it.
It's amazing how it unfolds. And we were just so fortunate to have each other.
Let me ask you this. I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you actually got to talk to Dr. Pettit yesterday when this was all over. Can you tell me about that conversation?
Well, for me, that was sort of the final, that was the icing, not the icing, but that was what brought me close. And it was, I felt it was so wonderful to hug these people, and they treated us like family, and we feel almost, do you think, like family, because we've seen such intimate things of their life and lived some things with them, and they are just the most wonderful people that I think I've come across in a long time.
Yeah. Michael, what was said, or what impression did he and his family leave on you?
The first person I was able to talk to was Dr. Pettit's sister, and then I was able to talk to Dr. Pettit. I gave him a huge hug, and I gave my condolences for the loss of his family, and I can't even imagine what he's feeling, what he's going through. And they were telling us sorry. They were expressing us how sorry they were that we had to go through it, and thank you. And I was looking at them. Why are you saying that to us? You're the
Yeah.
ones that are going through this horrible death of your family, and this family is so dignified, gracious, classy. He held his head high throughout this entire case. Imagine how some other people would react, and to see Dr. Pettit, he was an inspiration to all of us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Paula, did you talked about being spiritual. I don't know if you heard beforehand. I'm assuming that you didn't, but the Pettits have been very open about the fact that they were praying for all of you and the choice you were going to make. What do you think when you hear that?
Oh, it just, the type of people that they are, it's amazing to me that in the midst of their horror and grief that they're so generous to think about praying for us. They're in the midst of this horror. It's heartwarming. It really was, it was, I can't even put it into words.
Yeah, I know on this day when it's finally over, for all of you, what are you feeling? Are you feeling relief? Are you feeling like you did your job? Are you going to move forward different, as a different person than you were when you came into this?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
For me, I have a better understanding of how the system works, and for us, justice has prevailed. We did everything according to the letter of the law in the state of Connecticut, and my life has changed dramatically after this. It'll probably never be the same again. And
in what way, Michael?
just the thoughts and the memories of this entire case and everything that's happened. I will never look at, unfortunately, human beings the same way. I know what evil can come from them. And it's unfortunate because you want to feel safe in your home, and you don't feel safe in your home anymore because you know that there's people out there that want to take away from you.
It's real.
It's real. They want to take away from you your possessions, your life, your sanity, and unfortunately, there's more people like this out there.
If you ever disbelieved the existence of evil, it's really there. Evil is in the world, and
Paula, how has this changed you? Do you look at things differently? Do you see people differently?
Like I said, this has strengthened my faith in that we all came together. It was amazing how it worked out, and we came to the right decision, and I just know that this is, for me, God's plan, and I think I'm honored to be a part of that.
Yeah, when we came to our final decision, it was almost like at that point we were all together on it, and everybody was at peace with the decision that we had made.
It was like a relief. It was a release at some point that we just all came to that decision, and we were like, we took a breath. Like, okay.
Is there anything that you'd like to say, to the Pettit family that maybe you weren't able to say in those moments, when you first see them afterwards, and it's all been happening so quickly at that point?
What an inspiration they are to all of us, and that we also wanted to mention the Pettit Foundation. If anyone is interested, Dr. Pettit has set up this foundation to honor his wife and children and to put forth their goodness.
They were giving people, and such a beautiful family that didn't think of themselves ever.
Yeah.
And even through all of this, Dr. Pettit's still not thinking of himself.
Exactly.
And he's still out there helping others. So for me, he's an inspiration to me. He's the most dignified and classiest man I've ever met.
Yeah,
They're such examples, aren't they?
They're excellent examples.
Yes.
Let me ask you, one of the things that the defense was really hinging its bets on, so to speak, was hoping to humanize Stephen Hayes to you and to paint him as a follower of Joshua Komisarjevsky. Of course, we know Komisarjevsky's trial is going to start next year. Are you going to be watching that?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I plan on going.
We're going to go.
You're going to go to the trial?
I am planning on it.
Why do you feel compelled to do so?
Because if this next defendant, if you can think it at all be possible, is probably worse than what we've just been through. And I want to be there to support the family. I want to be there for the Pettits.
Yeah, I mean, Stephen Hayes, they tried to paint him as a follower. At any moment, he could have left. He had so many opportunities to leave and just stop what he was doing, and he didn't. He continued, and he made his choice, and now he has to pay for the things that he's done.
I think calling him a follower is just too easy. He's a man, and he made his choices, and unfortunately they were the wrong ones. He had opportunities at several points to make a difference and stop this, and he just made the wrong choices, and he needs to be accountable.
And I know that when we talk about Komarsadjevsky, there is another jury that's going to be chosen, and they're going to see the stomach-turning evidence that you did. Not that necessarily they're watching all of this and they will know you're speaking to them, but if there's any advice you could give to this next jury that will have this same daunting task ahead of them, what would you tell them?
Oh.
Wow.
I know.
There's nothing can prepare you for what you're going to see and what you're going to hear. I think a lot of us tend to live in a bubble and don't really know some of the things that go on outside of where we live or the things that we do. And whatever jury is picked for this, they have no idea what they're getting into. I thought it would be okay. You know, we watch TV, we watch movies. When it's real life, it's different. It's completely different.
But I have to say, the attorneys, if I do say so, did a great job in picking the jury. And I'm just have to have confidence that the next jury will be as competent.
Cynthia Munson and Patricia Thomas, former lovers in a heated argument over Munson's children. Munson ending the dispute with 5 gunshots.
And what happened?
There was an argument. She was threatening me and trying to take the children, and there was an altercation, and I fired upon her with a gun.
Munson says she feared for her life and shot in self-defense. But the prosecution says Munson lured Thomas into her bedroom with intent to kill. It's Florida versus Munson on In Session.
Summer 1991. For 6 weeks in Wichita, Kansas, thousands of abortion opponents led by Operation Rescue descended on a women's clinic run by Dr. George Tiller. Protesters prevented patients from entering, held sit-ins in front of clinics, and had to be physically removed by local law enforcement. They called it the Summer of Mercy.
What set out to be a 1-week series of activities, of rescues, where we would sit in front of the doors of abortion clinics, turned into be an entire summer of protests where over 3,500 people were arrested for civil disobedience. This is like sitting at a lunch counter for an African American in the 60s. And over that period of time, the world's eyes were focused on Wichita because it shocked America's conscience that abortion was a reality. It wasn't an abstract idea anymore. This was a reality where babies' lives were being taken on a daily basis by a man in a particular city, and these babies were fully viable and could live outside the womb.
The Summer of Mercy took a toll on Tiller's staff.
She's an employee here, I understand.
Well, that's too bad what you want. Who are you? Are you God?
It's not what we want, it's what Jesus wants.
It was taking hours and hours to move people away from the clinics so people could get in. They were taken downtown, released by the courts, and they would come out and get in front of the gates again. So the gates were never cleared. So we had all of this, we had everybody working against us, against our patients, against our staff. It was terrible.
This one right here was when we shot Michael's bad video in the subway in New York.
For 20 years, 5-time Grammy Award winner Bruce Swedien produced music for Michael Jackson, churning out hits like Thriller, Bad, and Billie Jean.
I walk around here and I see all these pictures of Michael Jackson and the records from him, and I'm curious to know from you, how innate was his gift? I mean, how God-given do you think this was for him?
Total. Michael was the most gifted artist that I've worked with. I'm going to get emotional now.
It's okay.
Sorry.
But why? What made him so?
It was just a God-given, natural thing. His voice was incredible, his sense of pitch, his musical taste, and it was not unusual for Michael to stay up all night and learn a lyric from memory so that he could sing the vocal without having any paper in front of him. He was that dedicated to his craft.
Swedien has worked with some of music's biggest legends like Duke Ellington, Lena Horne, and Mick Jagger. But Swedien says Jackson was in a league of his own.
Michael's was an all-around gifted musician. He was a fantastic composer. I mean, when Michael told us the story of Billie Jean, he came home one day and there was this young lady lounging by his pool and she wouldn't go away. So he went and talked to her, found out what her name was. It was Billie Jean. There aren't many pieces of pop music, I think, that have the identifiable sounds of Billie Jean.
And here's a secret little tidbit Bruce let us in on. You're not going to see this one coming. You know that big hit, Thriller? It was originally entitled Starlight, and he has the reel to prove it.
Swedien first met Jackson in 1978 when the singer signed on to do the film adaptation of the musical The Wiz.
Serendipity, they call it.
And what did you think of Michael the first time you met him? What was striking to you?
Right off the bat, I thought, here's a phenomenally gifted young black musician. And while Michael is not the kid next door, and he hasn't always made the best decisions for himself, I would go with him any place, any time.
When you were in studio with him and you were experiencing the whole songwriting production with him, did you see him take to any particular song or lyric?
No, that's a funny thing. I'm glad you brought that up. Michael treated every piece of music with the same respect. Music to him was his whole life.
Swedien saved notes Jackson wrote and shared with us one that showed just how involved Jackson was in his craft.
More strings on the chorus and finger snaps. Bigger backgrounds on chorus. More bass, more choir.
After bridge.
Yeah.
More acoustic guitar, more claps.
Yeah.
I wonder what you were working on then. Oh, that's when you met Michael.
But the relationship wasn't always about work. The two were friends, and Swedien gave us his take on what life was like for the King of Pop.
What do you think is the most misunderstood about Michael Jackson?
His sincerity, his passion for quality. Everybody kind of criticizes him, and I might as well bring it right out. The plastic surgery. And I feel the same way. I said, what a stupid thing for a gorgeous young black man to do. But it's Michael.
What do you think was the issue for him in terms of not being able to sleep and not being able to shut down? Now that, I mean, of all the things that he wanted to leave the world with, this trial probably was not it.
Right. Not being able to sleep was a big issue. I think that bothered or hurt him. And I know from my own life that if I can't sleep, it's because I'm worried about something. Michael must have had many internal worries that maybe he didn't have anyone to talk to.
Jackson's death is still a painful subject for Swedien. He remembers the day his wife gave him the news.
I think we were already here at this property, and she came, well, I was working on some session or something, and she came rushing in and said, "Michael has died. Michael has died." And of course, everything stopped.
Swedien says Jackson's legacy is the music he left behind, not the personal difficulties he faced. Did you understand the enormity of who this man was?
Oh yeah, because have you seen my bio? Mm-hmm. I've recorded some people, but Michael's head and shoulders above everybody. Just phenomenal person. Not just talent, person. Great to work with. Boy, oh boy, never late. Never came late. I keep looking for someone like Michael to record. And people, I got a call this morning from some producer in LA that says, "Oh, I got the next Michael Jackson." So I said, "Yeah, sure you do." Click. Not interested.